I see people showed up quick to this topic. Okay, no problem. All right, people show up quick to talk about this one. All right, now sometimes when I do my lives, it takes a few minutes for the room to populate, but I see this one populated very quickly. So y'all didn't hesitate. Y'all didn't take your time getting in for this one here today, huh? Okay, no problem. No problem. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. So we got live going on 1, 2, Rumble, YouTube, X. We're good. We are good on Facebook. We're good on LinkedIn. We are good on Instagram. Good morning, Instagram. People came in Instagram pretty quick. Usually Instagram's kind of slow. TikTok has started off slow, but TikTok usually picks up a lot. Shout out to TikTok. TikTok, we've been doing better than all the other apps put together over the last month or so. So we got to discuss this topic, folks, because first of all, I think all of you know, even if you don't live in the United States of America, you all know that we are exactly 2 weeks away from the next presidential election day. Maybe some of you have or are voting early. Maybe you already made your voting decision. However, regardless of whether you made a decision already, whether you are open to changing your mind, or you already know you're going to vote for one candidate or the other, we still need to discuss this because it needs to be talked about. This needs to be talked about. I'm going to tell you why it needs to be talked about. It needs to be talked about because if a person is running for the highest job in America, this is the biggest job you can have in the United States of America, is to be the president. And this person is telling us something about their background that may not necessarily be true. We need to address it, and we need to ask the question. And I'm going to address all questions at the end, but I see one question came in quickly on Instagram. Someone said, why would you propose a ridiculous Republican contrived question like this? Well, the fact that you're even posing the question in that way is the exact reason why you need to listen. And as I just said, I'll repeat myself, what I just said. Why are we talking about this? Because if a person is running for the highest job in the country and we're not sure about this person's background, we need to talk about it. It needs to be discussed. And I'm not offering you a definite answer here, because if I was, I would say she is or she isn't. I'm going to tell you both the pros and the cons. I'm going to give you both sides of this, as I do all the time. I did this last week. If you didn't see my lives last week, I did a live where I said why Kamala is going to win. I did 90 minutes on why Kamala is going to win last week. So any of you who is wondering why I'm questioning Kamala's blackness, quote unquote, go watch the 90 minutes I did last week that said Kamala is going to win. I explained why she would win for 90 minutes. And the very next day, I did 90 minutes explaining why Trump would win. So again, a critical thinker can argue all sides of a conversation. I'm going to do that here today in one stream. I'm going to argue both the pros and the cons for what people are believing about Kamala Harris's background. Now, let's start with a baseline. Actually, let's start with a baseline before I even introduce myself. All right. The baseline is that we don't know for sure. And I doubt that we will ever know for sure, because this kind of stuff is kind of difficult to prove, especially when someone's coming from their background or their heritage is from outside of the country. And back in these days, the documentation, I got a pause connection on Instagram. I think it's going to happen many times here today. Pause connection on Instagram while I'm talking about this. The documentation process back then was a lot looser than it is here today. And a lot of you don't understand that. A lot of you may be applying modern ways of living into how things were back then. Back 30, 40, 50 years ago, you could easily just walk into an office, especially in countries outside the United States, and get any document made that you wanted to say whatever it is that you wanted it to say. Not to necessarily say that anybody's lying here, but we're going to get into that here today. And the fact is, we don't know. We don't know where this person is from. We don't know where Kamala's actually from. We don't know where her heritage actually is. We know what we've been told, and we know what people are challenging. And I saw someone say, I will address this up front. Someone said, well, this is a Republican talking point. And incorrect. This is not a Republican talking point, because first of all, when Kamala first was declaring herself to run for president back in the 2020 cycle, which was in 2019, and she started her campaign and it wasn't doing too well. She dropped out before the primaries even happened. She was on the Breakfast Club. Go look up this video, Kamala on the Breakfast Club, not the recent Breakfast Club, but when she was on the Breakfast Club in 2019, a bunch of black people were not fans of Kamala Harris back then, and they were questioning her then. When she got into this year, when, of course, Biden fumbled during that debate and Kamala came in to replace, and the campaign immediately started with, you could get the vote for the first black woman president Black people brought this question forward. So let me check everybody in this room before you come here in any comments talking about that this is a Trump or a MAGA or a white supremacist or a Republican talking point. No, the hell it isn't. It is a Black person talking point, because Black people have been asking, is this woman actually Black? Where is she actually from? What is her actual heritage? Because if you're going to tell us that we're voting for a Black person, we need to know that they're Black. We want to know how they're Black, and we want to know where that Blackness comes from. So miss me with this came from a white person. This does not come from Donald Trump. And there was someone, I forget, one of the interviews that she did, Kamala with Tim Walz. What was that interview she did? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. It was the one where her and Walz did the interview together. I forget what platform it was on, but someone asked her the question. The interviewer gave her a softball question and said, what do you think about Donald Trump questioning your Blackness? And she said, well, same old playbook. She just dismissed the question. Well, see, it's easy to dismiss it if you bring it on Donald Trump. We're going to get into that here today as well. But what if the questioner had said, the reporter had said, well, a bunch of Black people are questioning your Blackness. So you can't dismiss that one. And so this is one of the talking points that, again, the counterpoints to what I'm talking about here today. Let me introduce myself and let's get into the topic, because we need to talk about this, and it needs to be understood where we're coming from, because we're making a decision about the person with the top job in the country. And if their background is not the background that they actually say it is, then that's an issue. I believe it is. That's why we're talking about it. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year pro athlete, author of 35 books. And I'm 4 TEDx talks. I created this brand called Work on Your Game. Our job here is to help you perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and produce results. That's what we're about. And every now and then, I talk about a current event. This is a big current event. The election is probably the biggest current event that everyone knows about and everyone has an opinion on. So there are other current events that some of you may not be interested at all, and some people are. This is one that everybody has an opinion, everybody has something to say, and everybody at least wants to hear what's being talked about. So I'm going to serve your hunger for that in today's conversation. So I'm going to give you some pros and some cons about why maybe you will accept that Kamala is Black, and some cons as to why you may be questioning or rejecting that Kamala is Black. So let's start with the pro. The first pro, and this could be a positive or a negative, is that in the world that we live in today, many people have been conditioned and taught and admonished to accept and never question. So this is the first thing. So any of you who's pushing back, by the way, anybody with a question or comment, anything that I say while I'm talking here today, all right, I will address those all at the end. This is the first one, and this is the one where anyone who is pushing back on anything that I'm saying here today, this point right here is you. All right, this is who I'm talking to. The accept but don't question crowd. This is usually the majority of the population, especially in the United States of America, because the media is very strong and very influential in the United States, that most people accept what they are told and do not question anything, especially when you hear it over and over and over again, and you hear it from a reputable source. I got a pause connection on Instagram again. So when you hear something over and over again from a reputable source, you tend to just generally accept it. Okay, this must be true because I've heard it so many times. I heard it from so many people. I saw it on the news. I saw it on TV. It's in the newspaper. My parents told me. These smart people I follow on social media told me. It obviously must be true. I'm not going to question anything. Understand something, folks. Number one law of critical thinking is that you accept nothing on its surface without questioning it. Number one rule of being a critical thinker is you accept nothing on the surface without questioning. Doesn't mean that you don't believe anything that is told to you. And it doesn't mean that you are what some people would try to label you as a contrarian simply because you're questioning things. If they want to label you that, fine, let them label you that. Critical thinkers question every single thing, and they double check and they get a second source on damn near any information that is given to them. Critical thinkers do not accept any information other than their own information that they have verified to be true. So I heard a journalist say this once. He said, if your mother calls you and says, I love you, you need to go get a second opinion. All right. That's the mindset of a critical thinker, that you accept nothing, no matter who said it, no matter what they said, you accept nothing unless you know it to be absolutely true from personal experience. Now, when it comes to someone like Kamala Harris and her background, most of us weren't there when she was born. We don't know weren't there when her parents were born. We don't know. So therefore, it is fair game to question her background. It's a fair game just on that alone. I don't have to give any other reason. It's fair game to question her background. Any of you who's saying, well, we can't question her background. Why are you questioning her background and coming up with some type of ad hominem or emotional blackmail points to question me for questioning her background? My question to you is, why are you so sure that you should believe what you've been told? That's my question. Any of you who are listening to this, why are you so sure if you don't like the fact that I'm even asking the question, why are you so sure that you should believe what you've been told? That's my question to you. Someone said, question Trump's background. All right, let's leave Trump out of the conversation. We're just talking about Kamala Harris. And this is what Kamala does, the same thing that somebody just left a question and said, what about Trump's background? All right. I don't think anybody is wondering if Trump never said, hey, vote for the next white president. He never said that. So what are we questioning? What's the question? Trump never said, hey, here's your chance to vote for the next white man to be president. Nobody cares. Kamala is saying, I get to be the first black woman. Okay, let's find out. Are you black? Let's find out. That's being questioned. So critical thinkers question anything that's told to them. I never heard Donald Trump say, hey, vote for the next white man. So nothing was told to you. So there's nothing to question. To answer the question, whoever left that comment. Many people in the world that we live in today just accept what they're told and don't question it. Y'all remember that virus from a few years ago? How many people just accepted what you were told and didn't question anything? How many of you took a whole bunch of shots in the arm that was allegedly supposed to inoculate you from the sickness, and then you still got it anyway? Yet you still accept everything that you're told by the establishment? Explain to me how that makes any sense. Any of you who has an issue with me asking the question that I'm asking here today, explain to me why a few years ago, whether you took the shot or not. All right, let's just lay this out. There was a virus, right? Everybody knows about the virus. I'm not going to say the word. You got to be careful. And there was a medicine that came out. Both the Republican and the Democratic president were pushing the medicine. So this is not a partisan point. Because the Republican who was in office in 2020, before the election, Donald Trump, he pushed the medicine. I got to be careful what word I said. And then the Democrat who took over, Joe Biden, he pushed the medicine. So they both pushed the medicine. So this is not a Democrat or Republican point. And that medicine, starting with the letter V, allegedly, that's the way we always understood that if you take a V, that means you will not get the sickness. All right, isn't that what we always understood that to mean? But the Center for Disease Control and Dr. Fauci and all other establishment people came out and said, if you take this, you will not get the sickness. They are on the record saying that out of their mouths. They said it all over the news. Many platforms said it on both sides. If you take this medicine, you will not get the sickness. So miss me with how they changed the verbiage. But what ended up happening is they changed the verbiage of the definition of the word and say, if you get the V word, that means, well, it'll be lesser. You might still get the virus. It'll be lesser. When the hell did that happen? When did that become a thing? I'm saying all that to say this, because that's not what the topic is here today. If that alone, that just happened a few years ago, it's less than 5 years ago. If that happened and it still didn't get you to question what you accept from the mainstream and what you accept when you hear from the establishment, there's nothing that I can say that's going to change your mind. If you decide you just want to accept anything that's told to you just because someone is in a certain position and they said it, then nothing I say is going to make you think any differently. I'm just letting you know what options are available to you. Critical thinkers question everything. Does not mean that they don't eventually accept, but they question. When it comes to Kamala Harris, she came out and said that she's black. And people said, okay, you're black, how? And we found out about her background. All right, one parent is from over here, one parent's from over there. All right, is this parent actually from over there? This parent is still alive, but they're not saying anything. We're going to get to that in a minute. All right, so how are we sure that this person is black? And it's a legitimate question. And we all know, I mentioned this last week, Candace Owens has done a deep dive into this. She just posted just yesterday, I didn't even finish listening to it, a conversation with Judge Joe Brown. He was the first person I heard say it. So Judge Joe Brown used to have a TV show back in the day. Most of y'all know who he is because he was on TV. And he said this when Kamala first got pushed into being the candidate. He was saying in this video on this YouTube channel called The Art of Dialogue, he was being interviewed about several things, but the question was about her. And he said that he met Kamala's dad, and Kamala's dad always mentioned that he was Hindu and Irish. That's what he said. Kamala's dad said that to Judge Joe Brown back in the day. Judge Joe Brown said that on video like 4 months ago, or whenever Kamala came in, 3 months ago. He said that on video 3 months ago. Then Candace decided to jump in it because allegedly she was saying she didn't like the fact that people was going at Janet Jackson after Janet Jackson said Kamala ain't black. And a bunch of people have been saying this. It was kind of like an underground thing. I guess Candace talking about it made it more of a mainstream thing. But this is not a white person thing. This is not a Republican thing. This is not a Donald Trump thing. This is not a MAGA thing. Judge Joe Brown is black. Candace Owens is black. I'm black. All right. Is Kamala black? We don't know. So again, miss me with this being about, this has nothing to do with the Republicans or white people. This is a black person issue. Is she black? And the first pro point. There's a pro point that I'm giving is that many of you have been indoctrinated to accept whatever you've been told by whoever is in a position that you consider to be authority and don't question anything that you hear. I would warn you that could get you into some trouble. You may not realize that it's trouble until it's too late to do anything about it. But again, I just gave you the example. Y'all remember the virus a few years ago, right? Didn't they tell you take this shot and you'll be good? How many of you took the shot and still got the virus? All right, that didn't wake you up, then nothing I say is going to wake you up. Moving on, point number 2. We're talking here today about, is Kamala Harris black? That is the question that we are addressing. And I'm just doing an investigation here. I keep getting paused connections on Instagram, and I think that's on purpose. I don't think Instagram likes the fact that we're having this conversation. I don't think TikTok cares, but Instagram doesn't like this conversation. But we're going to have it anyway. Point number 2. Here's a con. So we got the pros and the cons. All right, so here's the cons. So we're going to go back and forth here. So I'm trying to be as fair as possible. And again, y'all leave your comments. I'll address them at the end. Number 2 is the righteous indignation. The righteous indignation, and this is always a red flag to me. Righteous indignation is always a red flag. What exactly does that mean? Righteous indignation would be like I told you all that I've done 4 TEDx talks. I've written 35 books, and I used to play professional sports. If you were to come up to me, and let's say I wouldn't run for president, but let's say I was being interviewed somewhere that a lot of people would see it, or I'm on stage somewhere in front of a big audience and somebody's interviewing me and they're trying to be like antagonistic towards me. And they say, Dre, you say you did 4 TED Talks. Do you really do 4 TED Talks? Now, what will our response to that be? All right, if I said that I've done 4 TEDx talks and then someone questions me, I get on stage, someone immediately goes on the attack and tries to question the credibility of whether or not I actually did that. What will my response to that be? Let me tell you what response I should not have. And my response is, oh, well, you're just trying to make me look bad, or I just assume this super defensive posture, or I start attacking the reporter or the interviewer for asking me the question in the first place. Or I say, well, you must have got that question from some hater who just hates black people, or they hate men, or they hate people who've done TED Talks, or they hate guys who wear suits. They're just negative and haters, and they're just pulling out of the same playbook. I'm not even addressing that question. I don't even believe you would ask me that. That's righteous indignation. Righteous indignation is when someone just appears to completely dismiss and turn their nose up at the fact that they're being questioned in the first place as a way of deflecting from the actual question. So if someone says to me, Dre, did you really do 4 TEDx talks? I say, sure, I did. Here, I'll give you the links to each one of the 4 talks right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, did I really write books? Yes, I will go. We can go on Amazon and I'll pull up every single book that I've written and you can count them out. It's actually more than 35. I officially use 35. I got more than that on Amazon. I would go and prove it. They said, you really play overseas? I said, yeah, I will give you the links to the social media platforms and email addresses of coaches that I play for over there, because not everything is on video. It was before YouTube was a thing when I first started playing. And I'll give you the links and email address of people who I played with. I'll show you videos of some games that I do have. I'll show you the 4 books that I wrote about playing basketball overseas. If I didn't do it, how can I write books about it? I would explain and answer the question. And it'd be over. Nobody would ask me that question anymore because they saw how thoroughly I answered the question. But the righteous indignation is a red flag to me. Righteous indignation is simply when someone, y'all remember Bill Clinton back in the day? Those of y'all who are old enough. So Bill Clinton, when he had the Monica Lewinsky thing, y'all remember that? And he got impeached, and he's basically on trial. That's what impeachment is just a trial. And he said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Y'all remember him saying that? That's righteous indignation. All right, he's actually deflecting. They just asked him, did he do the thing? And instead of just saying yes or no, what he said was, I did not have sexual relations with that woman. That woman, by saying that woman instead of saying the woman's name, what he was doing was distancing himself. That's verbal distancing. And it's a form of righteous indignation. And when someone gets righteously indignant about a legitimate, simple question, is a red flag to me that they are hiding something. And I believe Kamala is hiding something by using that righteous indignation. And the media is helping her out by framing the question as being something that came from Donald Trump, white supremacists, MAGA, the Republican Party, when indeed it did not. That question came from black people. The question of Kamala's heritage comes from black people. For white people or white supremacists or Donald Trump or MAGA, etc., what the hell do they care? All right, they're trying to beat her. It doesn't matter who the candidate is. Didn't he just go against Hillary in 2016? Hillary is 100% picket fence white. Then he went against Joe Biden, 100% picket fence white. Did he attack Hillary? Yes. Did he attack Joe Biden? Yes. He's going at Kamala the same way he would go at anybody. The same way he went at Obama. He wasn't even running for president. He didn't care if she's black or not. What the hell is the difference with Donald Trump? Doesn't matter. That came from black people. And Donald Trump even said that. He said, I believe it was at the NABJ when he was speaking at the National Association of Black Journalists. I believe that's the first time he mentioned it. and because there's all black journalists in the audience when he does that interview, and he said, in the black community, some people are questioning whether Kamala is black or not. He actually said that out loud. And that's when the media went and took it and tried to make it as if and framed it as if this was a Trump topic. This is not a Trump topic. Okay, so people who have come in the middle while I'm talking here, somebody asking, why does this even matter? It matters because black people want to know. So if you're black, you should know if the person you're voting for is claiming to be black, are they actually black? This is a question you should be asking. All right, why? I don't understand how any of you is acting like this is some kind of ridiculous question to be asking. It's a question that needs to be asked, whether you're going to vote for it or not. Let's say you already voted for it. Let's say you voted early and you already voted for it. It's still a legitimate question. Wouldn't you want to know? The person telling you they're black and they're not actually black, does that matter? It matters to me. Anyway, let's move on to point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is Kamala Harris black? And I'm going to address all questions at the end. Number 3, pro reason as to why Kamala is black. Here's a positive point for why Kamala Harris may be black. Is the argument by repetition, which is actually a logical fallacy, but it works very effectively. What is an argument by repetition? It's exactly what I said. It's when you repeat something over and over and over and over and over again until people just come to accept it, because one of the ways to program the subconscious mind is through repetition. If you want to program your subconscious mind, you who's listening to me right now, one of the ways you can do it is just tell yourself the same thing over and over again. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a complete lie. Tell yourself anything over and over again, you will eventually accept it and you will act out the thing that you told yourself. It doesn't matter what it is. And one of the reasons that many of you may be righteously indignant about me asking, is Kamala Harris black, is because the argument by repetition, you've been told over and over and over again that she is black, and therefore you have accepted that she is, but you have, again, you don't know for sure if she is. And you see that there are questions about whether or not she is black, but you don't even want to address the question. And here's the thing. And again, this is this is human nature. Human nature is constituted such that once a person has heard something over and over again and they've come to emotionally accept it, not just logically accept it, because logically accepting something is on the surface. Emotionally accepting something is when it gets deep down into your spirit. Once a human has emotionally accepted something as true, whether it is true or not, as I just told you, you'll accept anything you hear it over and over again. Most people will reject anything that even hints at challenging that belief. Most people do not change. I talk about this all the time. When you hear me talking about current event topics, I talk about this stuff all the time. Most people do not change in life. So any of you who is over the age of, let's say, 30, and you haven't seen any of your high school classmates for a long time, here's the tongue-in-cheek joke that I use is, don't worry that you haven't seen any of them in a long time, because they are the exact same person they were the last time you saw them. Only thing that changed is they got older, fatter, and uglier. All right, nothing else about them has changed. And hopefully that doesn't apply to you. But I'm saying it as a general rule. Yeah, some people do grow and get better in advance. I think I have grown, got better in advance since high school. But the general point is, again, it's tongue-in-cheek. The general point is most people do not change. And the reason most people do not change is because once our brains calcify and our mindsets calcify into thinking a certain way, we are not open to listening or hearing or being exposed to anything that may challenge the beliefs that we have already come to accept. Even if the beliefs that we have come to accept are complete bullshit, we will defend those beliefs because our subconscious mind is going to play defense against anything that might challenge what it has already accepted. So some of you have already accepted that Kamala is black. You've already accepted you're going to vote for her. You've already accepted that you hate her opponent. Therefore, anything questioning anything about her, you don't even want to hear it, even though logically it makes sense that you should entertain this, even if you're still going to vote for her. Even if you're still going to vote for her, you still be asking yourself, is she actually black? Because if she ain't, again, I think that matters. Some of you may think that doesn't matter. It matters to me. Yeah, Chef Boyard Bucket said cognitive dissonance. Exactly. That's what it is. Cognitive dissonance is when people simply do not want to be challenged mentally because, again, you've already emotionally accepted something. Therefore, you don't even want to have it challenged. Just like when I brought up the virus from a couple of years ago, and the shot they claimed, if you take the shot, you'll be good. Some of you took 4, 5, 6 of those shots. Therefore, me bringing that up makes you uncomfortable because you can't undo the fact that you took the shot. So you don't like me even talking about it because now you got to relive the fact that you took those shots and you got fooled. You got duped. All right. They told you to take the shot and you won't get the virus, but you took the shot and you still got the virus. You tell me. You tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me, somebody I know who I know, like, trust, love, known my whole life, they went and took all the shots, right? They went and took all the shots. They got the virus. And this is a person with a notoriously weak immune system. They were sick for like 6 weeks, a month and a half. They got all the shots. They got the shot and they got all the boosters. They got like 5 shots, then got the virus anyway, and they were sick for 6 weeks. I went and saw this person while they were in the late stages of recovery from the virus, right? And when I saw them, they said, and mind you, I was in their house, right? They had a mask on, a cloth mask on their face. They had a cloth mask on their face, right? I didn't have on a mask at all. And they said, well, hey, it's a good thing I took all those shots because it would have been worse. It took everything in me to not laugh in their face. Like, really? Really? Like, that's really the conclusion that you came to? Good thing that you took all the shots because it would have been worse. Like, really? After all this time? But anyway, this is how people are. All right. This is what people do. And this is cognitive dissonance. Once you come to accept something emotionally, you don't want to even hear anyone challenge it mentally. So some of you, by argument, by repetition, you've accepted that Kamala is whatever she says she is, and therefore you don't want to hear anybody challenging her. That's why you don't like what I'm saying right now. Yet you ain't leaving. You're going to keep hearing what I have to say. Moving on. Point number 4. We're talking here today. Thank you, Mary, for the rose on TikTok. So point number 4, and I'm giving y'all pros and cons here. So argument by repetition is actually a pro. So what I'm saying is I understand why some of you don't like hearing me challenge Kamala's blackness, because you've heard it so often that she is black that you don't want to hear anything. So that's what I'm saying. Point number 4. We are talking about here today about, is Kamala Harris black? We're just asking the question. I'm not even offering you an answer. I'm just asking the questions. I'm giving you pros and cons. Number 4, daddy ain't talking. Daddy ain't talking. Everybody understands that Kamala Harris's connection to blackness is her father, right? Now, her mother was Indian. We do know that. And her claim is that her father was Jamaican, right? Now, if her dad would just come out and say, hey, I am Kamala Harris's dad and I am Jamaican, and no, that's what it is. So now people asking if Kamala Harris is actually Jamaican, then I would say that's pretty much solves it. So in case anybody's wondering, does Jamaican make you black? Yes. If you're Jamaican, you're black. Okay. If you're Jamaican, you are black. If you don't have to be born in America. So I know people have the whole ADOS and the FBA thing, or if you're not descendants of slavery, that doesn't make you actually black. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying black is black if you're black. What I have heard is that Kamala does not have any Jamaican actually in her, that she is not Jamaican, that she is Indian and Irish, and that there's no Jamaican in that mix. So the question is, if daddy would just come out and say, I'm Jamaican, then I would say, okay, she has some Jamaican in her. Cool. Her father's still alive. Kamala Harris' dad is alive. He ain't talking. This is a red flag to me. He's alive and he ain't talking. Now, I understand that she's estranged from her dad, but so what? He ain't got to come on stage and get a photo op with her. And obviously he didn't, because when she was at the Democratic National Convention, she had a bunch of family members there and he wasn't there. So obviously he ain't that connected to her, but he could do an interview on his own accord and just say, hey, yes, I'm Jamaican. Here's where I'm from. He ain't talking. Someone said, because you're Jamaican, that you're not black. Well, I'm saying her black skin may come from the fact that she's Jamaican. So I see some people question that if you're Jamaican, that doesn't make you black at all. I would say I would let it go if we knew that Pops was from Jamaica. We don't even know he's from Jamaica. So I know some of you have some conflict with that and you want to go with the FBA, ADOS, etc. Okay, fine. That's not what I'm saying here. If he would just talk, he ain't saying nothing. And again, to me, that's a red flag, because her connection to blackness, what she's claiming and her supporters are claiming and her defenders are claiming, is that her blackness is based on Jamaica. All right. That's what she's saying. Right. So whether you agree with that or not, that's what she's saying. So let's just go along with what she's saying, that my blackness is based on the fact that part of me is Jamaican. OK, who's the Jamaican that's going to co-sign this and verify that you're Jamaican? The one guy who's alive that can verify it, her damn dad, he ain't talking. That's a red flag. How your own pops not talking? How your own dad not talking, and he's the one that makes you black? He's the one that certifies your blackness. He's not talking. That says something to me. Again, Kamala heritage supporters, heritage truthers, please tell me. So I see over on Instagram, Georgia said, being from Jamaica does not equal black. America is the only one who bases skin color on race. Okay, fair enough. I understand what you're saying, Jordan. I see over at Buckeye on YouTube saying the same thing, and probably some of y'all on TikTok saying the same thing. That being from Jamaica does not equal black, so therefore she's not black, even if she is from Jamaica. I think that's what some of you are saying, that she's not black, even if she's from Jamaica. Fair enough. That's not the point I'm making here today. The point I'm making is that if she claims Jamaica, she can't even prove that. That's what I'm saying. She can't even prove Jamaica. And she is, in her whole career, she has, for those of you who look back, I got another Pulse connection on Instagram. She can't even prove Jamaica. And she's claiming that as her connection to blackness. And she can't even prove that. So even above what y'all are saying, even the point that I'm giving, I'm offering her a little bit of, I'm ceding ground here and offering her, okay, we'll accept your blackness if you can even prove Jamaica. She can't even prove that. We know that she's Indian. We know that part. And that she, early in her career, before the national stage, she was presenting herself as an Indian American. First Indian American to ABC, whatever the things were she was doing. She only became black. She only started playing this blackness when Joe Biden said, I'm going to have a black woman as my vice president. Joe Biden, when he won the nomination, he said, I'm going to have a black woman as my vice president, not necessarily because of anything specifically that a black woman can do, but because Joe Biden was playing the political, the identity politics game. That's what Joe Biden was doing. So he said, let me get a black woman and that'll help me win more of the black vote. And it worked. I mean, he won the election. Then all of a sudden, Kamala was black. And again, black people have been questioning this ever since she got the VP role. Again, Trump brought it up because he heard black people saying it, not because Trump just randomly came up with this idea one day. He just wake up out of his sleep and say, I wonder if Kamala's black. That didn't happen. Moving on to point number 5. We are talking here today about, is Kamala Harris black or not? I'm just asking the question. I'm giving you the pros and cons. Here's a pro for why Kamala Harris is black. Okay, I'm going to offer a pro for why she is black. She's black because she says she's black. All right, sometimes that's enough. Some of you, I'm sure somebody has left that comment already here today. All right, Kamala's black because she says she's black. Now, again, I'm not saying I agree with this. I actually do not, and I'll talk about that in a second. But some of the people who believe that Kamala is black and you accept that Kamala is black and you don't like that I'm questioning if she's black, your reasoning is this one. She says she's black, so that's it. Case closed. Okay. Let me ask you a question. I got to be careful how I word this because I know TikTok is sensitive. If a boy says he's a girl, is that enough? I got away with that one, I think. I'm looking at my TikTok screen, make sure I don't get a warning. If a girl says she's a boy, is that enough? Does that settle the conversation? Not to me. Does that settle the conversation? If that happens, I don't think so. So just because somebody says they are something, I think it's a good starting point. I think most human beings, we can accept them at their word when it comes to immutable characteristics on most things. Like if I tell you I'm from Philadelphia, again, what do I gain from lying to you about being from Philadelphia? I don't think there's anything I can lie to you about. And I am actually from Philadelphia. So you can just accept that. Do you need to do a whole investigation like Candace Owens on if I'm from Philadelphia or not? Well, the first thing you got to ask yourself, what do I gain if you believe it? If I'm lying, what do I gain? What do I get out of it? I don't have anything to gain from it. But does Kamala have something to gain from posing herself as black? Yes. She gets a whole bunch of black people to vote for her. All right. Does that matter? Yes, because she's trying to win the damn election. So you got to ask yourself, what is the angle? Like, what's the angle that this person has to get you to believe the thing that they want you to believe? Barack Obama, is he actually from Hawaii? Was he born in Hawaii? Was he born in Kenya? We don't know. Oh, I started to hit my goal. Yo, man, Reed, my guy, thank you for coming through, as usual. Thank you for helping me hit that goal. Barack Obama. I don't know if y'all saw this. If y'all been watching Candace Owens, y'all should watch her because she's done deep dives on this stuff. And she showed that in the 90s, Barack Obama was about to write a book. This is way before politics or before he was deep in politics. Barack Obama was about to write a book, and the publisher that he was going to write a book with put a little blurb bio about Barack Obama on their website. And in the little blurb, it says Barack Obama was born in Kenya. It says it right there on the page. He was born in Kenya. He was raised in Indonesia. This is before Barack had anything to gain politically from being from the United States of America. And you can see the picture of him. Y'all can find this on social media. People probably been posting it all over the place. Look around on X. You probably find it on TikTok as well. And I look at that like this. Now, is that quote unquote proof that he was born in Kenya and not Hawaii? No. Now, is his birth certificate proof that he was born in Hawaii? No. Because again, I just told y'all this a few minutes ago. Back in those 20, 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, you can get documents to say pretty much whatever you want them to say. The rules that we have today, the modern way that we live was way different in the 60s and the 70s and the 50s when it came to documentations and things like that. And the government could pretty much get anything to say anything they wanted to say if they say that it needs to happen. So again, is that proof that he's not from Hawaii? No. Is it proof that he's definitely from Kenya? No. But it's a red flag. I believe it's a red flag because back when Barack Obama had nothing to gain from being from the United States, his bio said he was from Kenya, that he was born in Kenya, not from, but born in Kenya. And in case any of you don't know the law, you cannot run for president of the United States if you're not born in the United States. That's the law. You must be born in the United States of America on American soil to run for president. You can run for other stuff, but you cannot run for president if you were not born in the United States. So when Donald Trump 10 plus years ago brought up, is Barack Obama actually from the United States? He actually had a legitimate claim in asking that question because they said before Barack had anything to gain, it said he's from Kenya. It said he was born in Kenya. Y'all can look that up and see it for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. I believe that's a red flag that says, again, nothing to gain. He's from Kenya. Now he has something to gain. All of a sudden, he's from Hawaii. You tell me. Again, so think about this. So this self-identification point, again, I'm ceding this ground to Kamala Harris. Okay. I'm ceding this ground to Kamala. Somebody say he might be married to a man. I don't think Michelle Obama's a man. That is a funny joke, but I don't think she's a man. I think that's actually a woman. And speaking of Michelle Obama, she would have dragged Kamala in a primary had they had an open primary. Kamala wouldn't even be the candidate. And we wouldn't be having this conversation. We'd be having a different one had they had an open primary, because Michelle would have easily beaten Kamala, as would have the guy from PA, as would have the governor from California, as would have the governor from Michigan. They all would have beat Kamala had they had an open primary. The only reason she's even the candidate is because they didn't have an open primary, because she would not have beaten any of them. Anyway, self-identification, I'm giving y'all this point, okay? So Kamala heritage defenders, I'm giving you this point that because she says she's Black, that is a good reason to believe she's Black. For the most part, we accept people when they tell us something until they give us reason to question it. Kamala's giving us a bunch of reason to question it, but I understand why you believe it. Moving on to number 6. We're talking here today about, is Kamala Harris Black? It's just an open question. I'm just arguing both sides of this. I'm trying to be both the prosecution and the defense here, arguing both sides. Then I'm going to tell you what I think at the end. Number 6 is political opportunism. Kamala Harris, I think we all can agree, whether you like her or you hate her, or you're somewhere in between, Kamala Harris is a political opportunist, and she has no choice but to be one. And she ain't the only one. She's not the first. She's not the last. Joe Biden was a political opportunist. Barack Obama was and is. Hillary Clinton was and is. George W. Bush was and is. The only person in this whole political conversation we can say we know is not is Donald Trump, because he's not a career politician. Here's the thing. When your whole career is politics, you have no choice but to be an opportunist, because there's only 2 things that can happen. Y'all saw the TV show Game of Thrones. Y'all remember what Cersei Lannister said to Ned Stark before he got murdered, before he got his head chopped off? She said, when you play the Game of Thrones, you either win or you die. All right, that's how it works in politics. You either move up or your career is over. All right, if you want an example of this, look at Hillary Clinton. All right, she tried to win the nomination in 2008. Barack kicked her down. Then she finally got the nomination and ran in 2016. Trump beat her, and what has she done ever since? It's been over. Her career ended. That's how it happens. You win or it's over. All right, that's how it works. So Kamala Harris, her whole career, what has she done professionally other than be in politics? Nothing. Her whole career is in politics. Therefore, she must continue to advance and move up in her career. Otherwise, her career is pretty much done. And this is the issue with Kamala. And in that, I believe, as a political opportunist, she will say and do whatever it takes to continue moving forward, because if she doesn't move forward, there is no plan B, nothing else she can do, which means she is incentivized to be an opportunist, which means she may do some things that most of us would not do simply because she has no other options. Doesn't necessarily mean that she is doing them, but it means she's incentivized to do them. Everybody understand this? Understand that human beings are driven by incentives. When human beings have incentives, they are more likely to take the incentives than they are to not do it. To give you an example, there was a country, I don't remember what country it was, it might have been in India, that they were having a problem with snakes. There were all these snakes running around the streets and biting people and killing dogs and poisoning cats and things like that. So the government came up with a plan. They said, we will give you money every time you kill a snake and you bring us a dead snake. We're going to give you some money. That's what they did in this country. We'll give you some money every time you bring us a dead snake. So people started killing the snakes and they started to eliminate the snake problem. The problem is this incentive created other issues that they didn't anticipate. The issue was what happened is once people realized that they could get money for bringing in dead snakes, what they did was they started breeding snakes, killing them once they got born, and then they would start bringing in a whole bunch of snakes just to get the money. And this was an unintended consequence of creating an incentive of bringing in a dead snake. People start just breeding snakes and killing them on purpose just so they can get the money from the government. This is an example of how people are driven by incentives. So you got to be very careful when you offer people incentives because they will go to great lengths to satisfy that incentive and get what they want, even if it means doing things that are outside of the original reason why you created the incentive. Everybody understand what I'm saying here? So Kamala Harris is a political opportunist. And if that means she needs to falsify her background and falsify who her parents are and what country she came from and whether she has any Irish in her or whether her grandmother was actually black or not, and her dad ain't talking, but she's still claiming Jamaica, but hasn't given any solid proof whatsoever that she's from Jamaica. Is that a red flag? Absolutely is a red flag. Is a blinking red flag. Doesn't mean she's lying. Also doesn't mean she's telling the truth. All right. It's a red flag. It means there are questions. And at the position that she's in, behind the Democratic Party machine, we'll never know the truth. I will tell you all that. That point I will see to all of you. We'll never know the full truth here. Same way we'll never know the truth of whether Barack Obama was actually born in Kenya. We don't know the truth. We know what we choose to believe. We don't know the truth. Those are two different things. And while I'm on that point, let me say this, that what most of you consider to be quote unquote reality is not reality. What you consider to be reality is just things that you've chosen to accept and believe. It's not actual reality. Reality is subjective and relative. There is no objective reality. There's no such thing as objective reality. My reality is looking out the window right now. It is damp and a little bit rainy in South Florida. Your reality is it might be snowing outside or it might be beautiful and sunny where you are. There's no objective reality because most of the things, again, only things that you actually know, like KNOW, capital letters, know, are things that you have personally witnessed and experienced with your own eyes. If you have not personally witnessed and experienced it with your own eyes, you don't know it, you believe it. Those are two different things. And a lot of people don't like reconciling this point because it brings into question everything that you think you know, but you're actually believing. There's a difference between knowing something and believing it. I know things that I've personally done and experienced myself. And what I tell people in the business world, you don't know it until you have done it, and you don't really know it till you can teach it. Everything else you're accepting because somebody told you. So my parents tell me I was born in a certain hospital in Philadelphia. I believe it. Now, I don't remember. I was there, but I don't remember. All right, so I'm just taking their word for it. All right, anything that you tell me that I didn't see myself, I either decide whether I'm going to believe you or I'm not going to believe you. For the most part, again, most human beings are good people, and most people are generally truthful when they have no incentive to lie. So we generally accept what other people tell us, right? So when I tell you that I played basketball overseas, you believe me, even though most of you probably never saw me play basketball overseas, because what reason do I have to lie to you? But when someone has an incentive to lie, then you got to double check what they say. Again, critical thinkers will question the things that they're told. So someone says something about the earth. Right. This is a good example. All right. Is the earth round or flat? My answer is I don't know if the earth is round or flat. I believe that it's round, but do I actually know? I don't know. I'm not an astronaut. I've never been in a space shuttle up above the earth, looking at the sphere of the earth or looking at a flat land or whatever it may be. I don't know. I believe that it's round, but do I actually know? I do not know because I haven't personally experienced it. Then you haven't been out into outer space. You don't know. You just believe. And it's fine. Believing things is fine, because if we didn't believe anything, we would have absolute chaos and all of us would go mentally crazy. So you got to believe something. Right? You got to figure out what you want to believe. But I just want to make sure I'm emphasizing that point, that many of you think you know things and you don't know a damn thing. You know very few things. The amount of things you know is like this, because this is your life experience. What you believe is all the other stuff. And again, there's nothing wrong with believing things. I believe a whole lot of things. I believe, what's something else that I believe? I believe that, I'm trying to think of something that I believe that happens. Some of y'all give me an example, some things that I can believe. I believe that I can look up on the weather app right now. Let me give you an example. So I'll look on the weather app right now on my phone, and I believe that in Washington, D.C. right now, it's 55 degrees and sunny. I believe that. Now, I don't know because I'm not there, but that's what it says on the weather app. All right. I'm not there, so I can't verify, but I believe it. All right. And there's a difference. The moon landing, do I believe that we landed on the moon? I would say that one, I don't know. I haven't looked into it enough, but I'll say I believe it to be true. But I will be open to hearing anybody telling us that it didn't happen. I'm open to that. I'm open to questioning that. I'm not strongly on that side. So I'm glad you brought that up, though, because here's what happens is that we have different levels of belief. So you can believe something on a level 1. Like, I believe we landed on the moon. My belief in that is like level 1, meaning if you could show me something that possibly puts that into question, I'm open to having that discussion because I don't care. I'm not emotionally invested in that belief. I don't care whether we did or not. I personally don't care. There are people who care a lot. I don't care. But some of you are on a level 10 belief that Kamala Harris is black. And this is why you're upset that I'm even bringing this up, because you're so deeply entrenched in this belief that you don't want to hear anybody challenging it. And what I tell people is that you want to keep your opinions flexible. And this is really an opinion. All right? I'm of the opinion, because of what I've heard, that we landed on the moon. But it's not like some deeply held principle that I'll clutch pearls about, because I really don't give a damn. And you all need to be very careful about how many things that you will never allow to be questioned, because most of the things that you're believing, again, you have no actual proof that they are true or not. You're just choosing what to believe based on who told you and how you chose to feel about it. And those are not the same thing. Something actually being true and you believing it are not the same thing. Anyway, let's move on to number 7. I got 2 more, then I'm going to give you what I believe the answer to this question is. So we're talking here, is Kamala Harris black? Number 7, this is the easy one, using Donald Trump as a crutch. This one I already touched on. Using Donald Trump as a crutch. Donald Trump first brought up Kamala's blackness, I believe, when he was at the NABJ event, National Association of Black Journalists. He's in a room full of black people. Someone asked him a question about his opponent, and he says, well, I've been hearing black people asking, is Kamala actually black? That's when he first said it. And then the media took that and they started posing the question to Kamala and framing it as if Donald Trump made it up. Donald Trump did not make up that question. Black people made up that question. So when they pose it to Kamala and say, Donald Trump says you might not be black, she can dismiss it as a racist thing or as a Donald Trump thing or as a MAGA thing. When if instead they had posed the question properly in saying, Vice President Harris, black people are questioning as to whether or not you're actually black. So she couldn't dismiss black people. She could dismiss Donald Trump. She can't dismiss black people. So the media has not done their job by framing the question in the proper way, which would have put her on the hot seat and made her answer the question. So she's been able to duck and dodge the question because their framing is incorrect. Donald Trump did not create this topic. Who created this topic was black people. Black people have been asking, is Kamala Harris black? Those are the people who have been asking that question. So let me see. And oh, by the way, I'm going to get to questions and comments on TikTok when I get done. I'm trying to scroll through here, but it's not letting me scroll. I think I pushed the wrong button here. Let me see. No, it's still giving me the same issue. Anyway, Donald Trump as a crutch. All right, everybody got that? I don't need to talk about that anymore. I already did. Number 8, here's the con. The con point of Kamala being black is the establishment is carrying water for her. I think we all can agree with this. Again, those of you who have been raised to accept everything that you've been told, to question nothing and accept everything, this is where I get into saying things that some of you will call conspiracy theories. Right? I saw that Snopes try to say that it has been debunked that Kamala Harris is not black. It has not been debunked. We don't know because we don't have actual proof. There's arguments on both sides, but we don't know. There's no proof and nothing has been debunked. And they said in their Snopes article, Snopes is basically this site that basically debunks hoaxes and things like that, or they claim to debunk hoaxes. They call Candace Owens, rather, a conspiracy theorist. She's not a conspiracy theorist. What she did was investigative journalism. Now, whether or not you agree with her conclusion is a different story. She hasn't actually come to a conclusion. She just pointed out that a woman said, that's not the grandmother. The woman in the picture in Kamala's book is not the grandmother. That's what she said. It's right there on video. The woman is literally saying, that's not her. So that's not conspiracy. It's what she actually said. So anyway, the establishment carries water for people who are part of the establishment. So did the establishment carry water when Donald Trump questioned if Barack Obama was actually from Kenya or from Hawaii? The establishment carried water by framing Donald Trump as a racist. He's been framed as a racist ever since, starting with that. when people start questioning whether Kamala is black or not, the establishment has carried water by saying she's absolutely black. And some of you have bought that hook, line, and sinker, and you're not willing to hear anybody say anything other than that. The establishment will carry water for anything. And any of you who is not a big reader, go watch the video. And I'm telling you to watch this video because they're bringing up a bunch of things that I'm not even remembering off the top of my head. But the video where Candace Owens is interviewing Judge Joe Brown just came out yesterday. Is about, I think, 2.5 hours long. I'm not even finished listening to it yet. And she brings up multiple books. He brings up multiple books that talk about this era in the United States between the 1930s and the 1970s, where a whole lot of things were going on. And it helps explain how America is today and how things are not always as they are presented to be, and they are not always as they seem to be. Whereas many of you have been indoctrinated to just accept whatever the mainstream tells you and don't question anything. I am challenging you because that's the dangerous way of thinking. It makes you a sheep. Again, 4 years ago, you had personal experience of this. So forget about the 60s and the 50s. You might not be that old. I'm not that old. But 4 years ago, all of you were alive, right? All right. Y'all remember that virus? All right. You remember the CDC saying, take this shot and you won't get anything? They literally said that out of their mouths on TV multiple times. Was it true? No, it was not true. That alone, it should have been enough to wake you up to believe, to understand rather, that they will tell you something that's not true. And if they get enough people to believe it, it'll make you feel like you're crazy because you're going against the grain of what they told you to accept. All right, that should be enough. That should be enough. But again, most people don't think the way that I think. Some of you do, not everybody does. Critical thinkers question everything. All right, if you take one thing from everything I'm talking about here today, critical thinkers question everything and accept nothing on the surface. Maybe as a critical thinker, you will still come to the same conclusion that everyone else accepted from the beginning, but you get your own information. And while we're on the subject, those of you who are highly educated folks, and when I say highly educated, I mean you have education past high school. You went to college, some college, you got a 2-year degree, you got a 4-year degree, you have an advanced degree. Just because you learn things in school does not necessarily mean that they are true. All right, understand that school is government mandated information, especially if you went to a public school. You went to a K-12 public school, that is government mandated information. The government tells the teachers what they can teach. The government creates the curriculum. You study it, and then you regurgitate it back. If you regurgitate it back well, you get good grades and you move on to the next grade. That's how the education system works. Not to say that everything taught by the educational system is a lie, but it is to say that just because you got the information from school does not mean that you are smart, intelligent, nor does it mean you're a critical thinker. And I have a 4-year college degree. I'm saying all that as a degree holder. All right. That stuff does not necessarily make you intelligent, doesn't make you smart, and it doesn't make you a critical thinker. It just means that you're good at accepting indoctrination and regurgitating that indoctrination on a test. That's how you pass in school. The way to move up in school is to accept the indoctrination. That's the information from the textbooks and from the teachers. Then when there's a test, you spit the information back out on the test. And if you do that accurately, you get good grades. And when you get good grades, you get to move up to the next grade. And then you get a diploma, then you get a degree, and then you have these certifications. Now you can go get a job because you have the certifications. That is the way the system works. All right, period. Now, again, whether that makes you comfortable or uncomfortable, you can't tell me it's not true. That's the truth. That's not an opinion. That's the truth. And again, look at your own schooling situation. That's exactly how it works. And now I'm going to tell you my conclusion. All right, here's my conclusion. All right, my conclusion on all of this. Is Kamala Harris black or not? My conclusion says that her rampant deception, the righteous indignation, the fact that the dog is not barking, aka daddy's not speaking, tells me that she's lying about something. What exactly she's lying about, we don't know. But I believe she is lying about something. And the reason I believe she's lying about something is because of the deception, because of the distancing. The same way when Bill Clinton said, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, he was lying about something. What exactly he was lying about, you can draw your own conclusions, but he was absolutely lying because of the deception. He was trying to use this distancing language and he was trying to walk around the question. If someone asks you a direct question, you can simply answer the question or provide information or proof that satisfies what they're asking. But when you start walking around the question, then you're lying. All right. You're lying about, I don't know what you're lying about, but you're lying. Kamala Harris is lying. There's something in her background that she's lying about, that she doesn't want to talk about, that she doesn't want people to know, that will probably hurt the fact that she's a career political opportunist, Therefore, she's ducking and dodging it. And the media is helping her by framing it as a racism thing. White guy Donald Trump against black person Kamala Harris. And they're framing it that way to make it easy for her to duck the question. But if they framed it the proper way and said black people are asking, she wouldn't be able to duck the question. And because the media is no longer doing journalism, they are doing influencing. But that's what they are now. They're influencers, not journalists. They're not asking her hard questions. They're not holding her feet to the fire. This is why we're in this position. And I'm thankful that we're in this position. Why? Because if they didn't do that, I wouldn't need to do this live stream. If the media was actually doing this job and doing actual journalism, I would not need to talk about this because someone in the media would have already asked her, hey, black people are asking this. Are you actually black? And what's your background? Why's your dad not talking? Can you show us how you're actually from Jamaica? A media person should have asked this question. Nobody's asked it. Kamala Harris is running for the biggest job in the country. Not one journalist has asked her this question. How is that possible? Luke didn't ask this question. Luke, the rapper, interviewed her. Roland Martin didn't ask the question. Charlemagne didn't ask the question. Nobody from NBC asked it. Nobody from MSNBC asked it. No one from CNN asked the question. No one from 60 Minutes asked the question. Nobody's asked this question. She's done all these interviews. Nobody's asked this question. And just say black people are asking if you're actually black. Can you tell us how you're actually black and walk us through your heritage and tell us why your dad, who is allegedly your connection to Jamaica, ain't talking? Can you explain all that to us? Why has nobody asked that question? If somebody had asked that question, I wouldn't be talking about what I'm talking about right now. And this is the reason why journalism is dead, folks. They're not doing their jobs. And again, you can disagree with everything I've said here today. You can't disagree with that part. Journalists are no longer doing their jobs, which leaves it to people like me and the Candace Owenses of the world and people with independent platforms to ask the questions that the media used to ask for us. They used to do this for us to where people like me would have to talk. I would talk about other things. I'll be talking about personal development and business and mindset today. Instead, I got to do this because they're not doing their jobs. So I'm thankful for it because now I get to talk about this. It gives me something to talk about. But at the same time, it'd be a lot easier for all of us if media and journalism actually still existed. Well, media exists, but journalism actually existed. It doesn't exist anymore. So this is the challenge that we all have because we all getting different information from different people. So let me recap these really quick and I'm gonna take questions. So if you got a question or comment, put it in the comment section right now. I'm gonna get to them in 1 second. So the question today is Kamala actually black? So here's a pro. So I'm giving you pro, yes, and con, no. All right, I'm gonna give you 4 of these each and then I'm gonna tell you my conclusion. Number 1, pro, is that most of you accept things and you don't question anything, so you believe she's black because they told you. Number 2, the con is the righteous indignation. When she was asked, are you actually black? Or Donald Trump said you're black, and she just kind of walked around the question. She didn't actually answer it, which tells me she's lying. Somebody asked me if I'm black, I'm gonna say yes. Why the hell are you even asking me that question? That's what I would say. I wouldn't say, why are you asking me the question without answering? I would say, yes, I'm black. All right, my mom is black, my dad's black. So yes, I'm black. What are you asking? Number 3, the pro is argument by repetition. Most of you accept anything you hear over and over again. That's the way the subconscious mind is programmed. Number 4, the con, daddy ain't talking. All right, this is the dog not barking. Daddy ain't talking. There's a red flag to me. He's the one that's Jamaican. He ain't saying anything. He's still alive. That's an issue. Number 5, the pro is self-identification. Kamala says she's black, so she's black. So I guess that means we need to accept it. Number 6, the con is Kamala's a political opportunist, which means she will say and do anything, which means she will lie. That includes lying, in order to move herself forward. Number 7, people are using Donald Trump as a crutch. They're making it seem like this question about her blackness came from Donald Trump. It did not. It came from black people. Donald Trump got it from black people, and then he said it, and now they're making it seem like Donald Trump made it up. He did not make it up. Number 8 is the con. The establishment is carrying water for Kamala Harris, as I've already explained, that they are carrying water for her by making it seem like a Trump question so she can easily duck and dodge it as if it's racism when it's not, because black people are asking it. So can black people be racist against each other? Technically, yes, but that's not the way they're framing it. They're framing it as a white thing. And number 9, my conclusion is she's being extremely deceptive with telling me she's lying about something. I don't know what she's lying about, but she is lying. Is Kamala Harris being 100% truthful about her past? Absolutely not. She is lying about something. And if the journalism industry, if it even existed anymore, was in existence and doing his job, I wouldn't have to talk about this because somebody would have already asked her this question. She's done 50 interviews, not one person, even the black people, Luke, Charlemagne the God, what's the other guy, Roland Martin, and she interviewed a whole bunch of the Shade Room, all these black people she sat down with. Not one black person has said, black people are asking, are you actually black? Even the 2 basketball guys, what's their names? All the Smoke. They did an interview with them. And again, they framed it, the way they framed the question, they're lobbing her softballs. They're saying, well, Donald Trump mentioned if you're black, and I think it was Matt Barnes who asked the question. He should have said, Black people have been questioning your blackness ever since you came into the election in 2020. Donald Trump mentioned it because he heard it from black people. Black people are wondering if you're black or not. Kamala, can you walk us through how you're actually black? Tell us why your black dad's not talking. Tell us your connection to Jamaica that actually makes you black. Can you explain that to us? A real journalist would have asked that question. There are no real journalists anymore. Actually, there are, but they're a dying breed. They're on their deathbed. They're on life support right now. So now you got people like me who are doing their jobs for them. All right. With all that said, let me take questions. I'm going to go through YouTube first, then we'll go over to Instagram, then we'll go over to TikTok. So, and by the way, on TikTok, if you posted a question early or a comment early, I'm not going to see it. So you might want to post it again because the comments are going so fast, I can't even read them all. So let's see. Buckeye DK on YouTube said, well, at first he just laughed. He said, my wife took the shot and got sick bad the next month. I never got it and refused the shots. It is interesting sometimes how even in the same household, people have different ideas as to whether to take it. Someone said Elon was born in Africa and he's not black. I agree with that. I'm not questioning Elon's heritage. I don't think even he's questioning it. Someone said just because you're from Jamaica doesn't mean you're black either. They're white people, Jamaicans. Well, I'm not talking about the Jamaican part. I'm talking about the skin color. Someone said I thought her color came. Buckeye said I thought color came from Indian roots. Possibly it is. Someone said a white Jamaican dad. No, the dad is, looking at the pictures, he's brown. So he is allegedly, according to what some say, is that he is Indian himself and Irish. And some are trying to claim he's Jamaican. We don't know. That's the whole issue. She wasn't raised in the struggle either. Well, the struggle doesn't necessarily make you black, but I get what you're saying. And yeah, the lie about her grandma. Again, people are arguing about that. Mr. O said, I voted for Trump yesterday. Okay, congratulations. Salt Lamp says Kamala Harris. Okay, so see, I like this mix. Salt Lamp said he's an orange. Yeah, you got to come with something better than that, Salt Lamp. That's all you got. You got to come with something better than that. All right, let me see what we got over on Instagram. You got a question or comment on Instagram? I'm looking at it right now. Chef Boyar Bucket said they all support APAC is all a script. Well, all politics is a script. Get your positive upload said, would you propose a ridiculous Republican contrived question? I already addressed that earlier. Someone said, look at the Vegas odds. Trump is going to win. Maybe. Georgia Jewel says she's Indian Irish. Well, that's what some say. Right. And anti-racist said, is Trump a white supremacist? Y'all need to focus on white supremacists not thinking they will have the freedom to hang black men from trees if Trump wins. Oh, please. You got to do better than that. Now, we're past that. Trump already won. What black men got hung from a tree? You can't name one. Cut it out. Chef Boyar Bucket says, these elites don't care about race as a class war. It doesn't matter who wins. We all need to focus on Jesus. Not good point. Fair point. Chef said, both sides are saying we are not going to have another election again. Yes, they are. They are both saying that. You're correct. Chef Boyar said there was no virus. Both sides pushed the poison. Both sides pushed the poison. I do agree with that one. I don't know about the Epstein. Is Kamala a woman? I think so. I think she is a woman. Georgia said, being from Jamaica does not equal black. America is the only one who bases skin color on race. Okay, fair enough. I'm fair on that point. I understand what you're saying. Chef Boyar said, D Wade's son, now daughter. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know about that. I know. Someone said, Chef Boyar. All right, Chef Boyar, you kind of spamming my comments here. You're getting off topic. Yeah, I've heard about the family tree thing. Soul Art said, what's my degree in? Is in business. Business with a focus in management and marketing. Paul's connection on Instagram. Soul Art, hope you heard that. Business with a focus in management and marketing. That's what my college degree is in. All right, so TikTok, let's come through here. For some reason, TikTok's comment section is not scrolling for me. It keeps giving me this this brightness function. So let me fix the brightness function. It's going up, it's going down. Let me turn that up. Here we go. All right, brightness is good. Now, how do we get this off of here? Oops, it's not what I want. Oh, wait a minute. So if I swipe left, now it's showing me more comments, but I can't scroll through the comments. So this is the issue on TikTok. TikTok, I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this. So when I tap on the screen, It's good. I'm trying to figure out how to scroll up to the top of the comments. For some reason, TikTok is not letting me do it. It might just be a bug today, or is this an everyday thing? So when I swipe to the right, it's just showing me the views and the stats. And when I swipe to the left, it's showing me comments, but it's not showing me. I'm gonna just read these comments as they're coming from. So my degree, I went to Penn State University, Justice for Tracy. I'm just reading them as they're coming in for some reason. So if you posted a comment earlier, post it again so I can see it. Someone said a young man was hung in North Carolina a few months ago. Yeah, we know. But the cop said he hung himself. It wasn't hung by white people, and it wasn't because of Donald Trump. So that's a non sequitur. Penn State is where I got my degree from. Anton says she's Indian from Canada. Someone said black man hung from a tree by Orlando, Florida, by white men. Is that proven? And what's your source? Because that didn't happen. That didn't happen. So sorry for all the engagement. Race doesn't dictate ability. You don't have to be sorry for the engagement. Engagement's good on social media. That's the whole point. Someone said, host, do you believe that Kamala is biracial, white and black? I believe that she's lying about something. That's what I believe. I don't know. Someone said Harris was born in Canada. I don't know. I believe she was born in the United States. Her parents were in the United States, but she grew up in Canada. Someone said, this is going too fast. Let's see. Race matters because Harris getting votes based on being black. Exactly. That's correct. Someone said her father was a Marxist professor, so maybe she's lying not to be associated with that. Well, everybody knows that, though. So, I mean, then what? Kamala blames everything on Trump. Yes, she does, but that's politics. That's part of the game. That's part of the game. Sandy said, yes, it did. So you telling me my eyes, I don't know what you're referring to. Let's see. She's lying about a lot of stuff. Well, she is lying. Judge Joe Brown says she was born in Canada. Okay. It might be. Black voting Harris, not due to the color of her skin. I would question that strongly. I question that one strongly. Yes, black people, there are many black people who are voting for her based on her skin color. I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, yes, they are. Popular Thunder, good morning, sir. Good to see you. Damn, this is going too fast. How is she all of a sudden say no one voted for her in the primaries? Yes, exactly. Skin color does not make a vote. It doesn't make a vote, but does it influence the vote? Absolutely, it does. You know how much percentage of the black vote Barack Obama got? It wasn't just because he was a great orator, it's because he was black. There's nothing wrong with admitting that. I voted for him because he was black. So now, what you gonna tell me? I didn't vote for him because he was black? I did. I voted for him twice because he was black. But these days, we're past that. We're past that level of consciousness. If y'all think people are voting something because of skin color is ignorant, that's not ignorant, it's the truth. Why do you think Kamala showed up to a black church 2 days ago? You think that's not because she's trying to get black people to support the black candidate? Of course they are. That's not to say everyone is doing it, but is that happening? Absolutely it is. Someone said, do you see yourself as black? You look Indian too. LOL. Got it. Johnny said, I'm white. I voted for Obama. What does that have to do with white people? Again, now see, here's where I could agree with the race hustle is that white people stay trying to insert themselves into black conversations. I'm saying that in a tongue-in-cheek type of way, but this ain't got nothing to do with white people. This is a conversation that was started by black people and is about someone claiming to be black. She went to a Baptist church. It was a black church. I'm not asking what denomination. It was a black church. Someone said, I'm not MAGA, but I'm voting for Trump this time. I'm not MAGA either. I don't know who I'm voting for yet. I'm voting for myself, guaranteed. Shauna said, you do look Indian. All right, you got me. I'm Indian. All right, me and Kamala are cousins. All right, so because Obama is half white, yes, but he leaned into his blackness to win the election. Is that true or not? Diana 615. Did Barack Obama lean into his blackness to win that election? Of course he did. The first black president. Isn't that what he's known as? Did Barack Obama ever on the campaign trail say, hey, everybody, let me remind you all, I'm half white? No, he never did that. He never said that. He leaned into the blackness so he can win the election. And it worked. Okay, so listen, we're about results here. That worked. So there ain't nothing wrong with it. Let's just admit the truth. And this is another piece of cognitive dissonance people have. They don't want to admit things are true because it disturbs your moral high ground fallacy. Someone said, because he's your skin tone. Who, Obama? Okay, well, I guess someone must be from Kenya as well. Why is it okay for Trump to show up at a black church and barbershop to get the black vote? Because of politics. That's what you do. You show up everywhere you can to get as many votes as you can. That's the whole point of the election. You want to win as many votes as you can. So you do whatever you got to do. If I was running for president, I show up everywhere. I show up to the white places, the black places, the Indian places, the Asian places, the Latin places, and I would try to relate to those people because I want them to vote for me. That's what you got to do in politics. You have to be a chameleon, and you got to lie to win political elections in America. Everybody has to lie. So people say Trump lies, Kamala lies, everybody lies. None of them is always telling the truth. Someone, you said skin color does not make a vote. It does not. I'm not a racist. Well, it does. You do your own live and you can explain why it doesn't. His opposition leaned into demanding his birth certificate. Yes, and I just told you that there was a book that was coming out in the 90s that said Barack Obama was born in Kenya. It said that right there. It said he was born in Kenya. Trump always showed up to black locations even before he was running. Trump was famous amongst black people. It still is. Back then, rappers made songs about Donald Trump and looking up to him the same way they looked up to Puff Daddy and Jay-Z before he got into politics. So if that's what you do in politics, why is this a topic? Because she's trying to lean into the black vote and calling herself black. And we're not sure she's actually black. Barack Obama, we're sure he was at least half black. I vote for whoever I believe is the most qualified. Good. That's exactly what you should do. Do what you want to do with your vote. Your vote, your choice, as they say. Right? Someone said misinformation. No such thing as misinformation. There's truth and there's lies. So which one is it? Am I lying or am I telling the truth? There's no such thing as misinformation. She would not change anything about the last 4 years. I heard her say that. She shouldn't have said that. That was a mistake by her. People believe anything the media and celebrities tell them to believe. That is also true. I said that earlier. Can I get a book that says Obama was born in Kenya? It's not in a book. It's on a blurb from a website. Look it up. Look on X. It's on social media. Someone said I'm lying. About what? What color was her father? We don't know. That's the issue. That's what we're trying to figure out. We don't know. That's the whole reason why we're talking here today. My backup baby says Trump all the way. Mark says, I'm voting against the establishment that's destroying the fabric of the middle class. Well, the middle class is getting destroyed no matter who you vote for, Mark, but I get your point. Middle class, I did a whole live last Friday about why the middle class is going away regardless of what you do. Nothing you can do voting-wise is going to change that. So tired of that buzzword. Misinformation is a new media word. Yes, it is. No such thing as misinformation, folks. You're either telling the truth or you're lying. Someone says, so we need to trust a random post on X. Well, what else do you trust? You trust the mainstream media? You trust a post from someone who has a blue check? Who do you trust? People say that to discredit a post on social media, but then you go believe the one that you like. So this is cognitive dissonance right there. You believe the stuff that you like on social media, but you reject the stuff that you don't like on social media. So which one are you actually believing? And how do you know which one is true? And again, if you didn't see it with your own eyes, how do you know what to believe and what not to believe? This is the cognitive dissonance right there. What this person said right there. So you discredit something because it's random on social media, but then when something you see on social media you like, oh, you believe that. So which one is it? Which one is it? Someone said, what's Trump's true ethnic background? Oh, nobody cares. So it's not really a question because nobody cares. Someone said misinformation is a lie. That's right. So just say I'm lying. If I'm lying, tell me I'm lying. But misinformation is not a thing. Someone said Jesse Jackson recognized Trump in the 90s for supporting the black communities. Yeah, they were all in on Donald Trump before he questioned Barack Obama's ethnicity. Someone said pandering and tap dancing. To who? Who am I pandering to? I don't work for anybody. So who am I pandering to? I'm not a W-2 employee. So tell me who I'm pandering to. Tell me who's paying me to say what I'm saying. Because if they are, please tell me where the money's at. I didn't get it. Someone said, have you been following Candace Owens? Yes, I've been following Candace Owens stuff. Yes. Why care about hers then? Because she's claiming black. And I'm black. She's claiming black. That's what it is. Trump ain't saying he black either. Yeah, this ain't about Trump. Again, people keep trying to pivot the conversation to Trump. This had nothing to do with Trump. This is about black people questioning Kamala Harris claiming that she's black. This ain't nothing to do with Donald Trump. Let's see. Were they in on Trump when he got sued for discriminating against black tenants? Getting sued does not mean you actually did it. You can get sued for anything. LJ, I can sue you right now for anything I want to. It doesn't mean you did it. Taking someone to civil court is not proof that you actually did anything. Even if you lose in civil court or you settle out of court, doesn't mean you actually did it. Tommy said, you're bringing straight truth. I'm doing my best. Shauna said, you like her dad. Oh, you got me, Shauna. I'm Kamala's dad. All right, you got me. You outed me. Kamala is my daughter. All right, so I don't see you as pandering, more like getting people to search for facts. Well, we don't want to search for facts, Diana. We want to search for truth. Facts are easily used to mislead people. You can mislead people with facts. You cannot mislead with the truth. The truth is all the facts. Facts can be handpicked. I can handpick a couple facts to make anybody look like anything. The truth is all the facts. I believe she says she needs, damn, this shit's going so fast, I can't read them all. Hunter said, I'm Kamala's dad. Yes. Swerve said, do you still hoop? No, not anymore. What it should be about is what's best for the country. From my understanding, God was a man of many, well, yeah, that's the kumbaya thing, said man 07, but that ain't the world. You know that. You know that. Anybody can have you arrested for anything with little to no facts. No, for the most part, they can definitely sue you. People sue you for anything they don't need facts at all. They can just sue you. I can call a lawyer and sue any one of you right now for anything I want to. Doesn't mean the case is going to go anywhere. Doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I could sue you for anything I want. So someone getting sued is not proof of anything. Appreciate it. Leslie MJ3. Glad you got value out of this. Popular Thunder said a half truth is a whole lie. Exactly. KB said, what has both done for the community? Well, that's KB83. Your question is a false one because you're assuming that the government is going to do something for you. And that's a false assumption. They're not. Government does nothing for the everyday person. Right? You are responsible for yourself. I'm going to do a live on that probably maybe this week or next week. Terry said, we love your unbiased, educated dialogue. Thank you. Some people see it as the opposite of what you just said, but I appreciate you. Don't you have to be born in America to run for president? Yes. Exactly, which is why Trump was questioning, was Obama born in America? Someone said, you're a transporter. I don't know what that means. Sebastian said, this guy cannot be a coach. He blocked too much negativity. Yeah, right, but you're on here leaving comments. I don't believe you blocked me. Someone says she reads her script, says exactly what she needs to get votes, but we'll go back to the left extreme. I do believe that's true. If she wins, I think she is going to push a left extreme ideology. I do believe that. KB said, no, that's what I'm asking. Okay, I got what you're saying. So no, the government does absolutely nothing for the everyday person. This is why the middle class is getting destroyed. There's going to be rich people and poor people. I talked about this last Friday. So if y'all didn't see that, again, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. We got the replays. You probably catch the replay on here today. Who am I voting for? Myself. Is the government giving migrants so much money for their votes? Eventually, those people will be fast-tracked to voting, and then and this is a long-term strategy by the Democrats. This is not. And that's the Democrats. That's not the government. That's the Democrats. And it's a long-term strategy. It's not for this election. It's for the 2028, 2032, 2036. It's for the future. All the immigrants coming into the country right now are going to be able to vote in future elections, and they're going to be voting Democrat. That's the point. The only entrepreneur said, I got to give you flowers. You're my basketball foundation. Appreciate you, sir. I'm going to listen to the last half hour. I'm enjoying the feed. Thank you. I'm trying to keep up with these comments. They're going so fast. Lori said, my husband and I have 7 jobs in this academy. We're about to catch up soon. Catch up to what? Lori, Carolina, Mom, what are you catching up to? Imrel said, misinformed and misinformation are 2 different things. Yes, that's correct. They are 2 different things. Misinformation is not a thing. It doesn't exist. Goyo Got said, yes, I agree with you. Thank you. Daberdeen, good morning, sir. Soul Art says, sometimes discrimination is justified. Absolutely it is. In sports, for example, we discriminate all the time. Everybody doesn't make the team. That's discrimination. User said, I love your explanation of critical thinking. Thank you. Now, I'm going to take a couple more of these. I got to go to the bathroom again. I did it again, did this 90-minute live. Now I got to go to the bathroom. Little Miss Pothead said, call them as they are illegals. They didn't come here legally. Well, what happened, Little Miss Pothead? You are technically you would be correct. But what the government is doing now is fast tracking into having legal status. So technically right now they are legal because they have legal status. Whereas back in the day, Little Miss Pothead, what you're referring to, it used to take 7, 10, 15 years to get citizenship in America in legal status. Now people are getting citizenship, or they're getting legal status rather, They're getting legal status in a week. That's what's happening now. A lot of people don't know that that's happening because they did it quietly, but that's what's happening now. So they're technically not illegal, but they would be illegal under the way things used to be. That's what's happening. So they're kind of sneaking it. They're sneaking it under people's noses. Somebody said, what do I think about the cats and dogs? What cats? What dogs? Someone said, this is extremely untrue. What are you referring to? Lots of illegals want to go home. Now, I don't know about that. I think home is here now. They came here. They came here on purpose. Who do I think is going to win the general election? Who do I think is going to win? That's hard. If I could predict that, I'd be selling it for a whole lot of money. I don't know if I have an answer. There's nothing for them here, and it's worse than home. I don't know about that, KB83. I'm going to challenge you on that one. The government's handing them money as soon as they walk in, giving them a place to stay, they're giving them food, they're giving them money, and they're getting them jobs. So why would you leave? Would you leave? So why do I think Kamala Harris isn't being talked about? It was a lie. It is being talked about. I'm talking about it right now. Someone said they do it illegal, makes it legal. The government is fast tracking them to legal status. That's happening right now. That you come in the country illegally, there's an app you can go on your phone, and you can get legal status within 1 week. It used to take 10 years to get legal status. Now it takes 1 week. That's happening right now today, in case y'all didn't know. That's happening right now. Let's see. Selena said, who hurt you? This can't be real. LOL. Someone said, Little Miss Pie said they get 10K cash in assistance, 13K in food stamps. Yes, exactly. So why would you leave? Ain't nobody leaving. If I go to a country and they give me $10,000 in cash and $13,000 in food, I might stick around for at least for a little while, see what's going on. I'll at least see what's going on. They're giving them a Mercedes too. I don't know about the Mercedes. I don't know if you're joking or not, George Jefferson. I haven't heard about the Mercedes. Staying in a hotel in Manhattan, that is happening. Eric Adams was saying it. And Eric Adams, the reason that Eric Adams is the guy from the mayor from New York who's under investigation right now, he challenged what they were doing in sending immigrants to New York. And because he challenged it, that's the reason why he's under investigation right now. Not because whatever he did, a bunch of people do. They just decided to make it a crime for him because he challenged the establishment. Do I know any immigrants? Yeah, I know a whole bunch of immigrants. And as they say, technically everybody's an immigrant, right? Unless you're a Native American. Somebody said it's a Rolls Royce. LOL. The dude refused to say Kamala is a woman. What dude? Me? I refuse to say Kamala is a woman? When did I say that? We're not talking about if she's a woman. We're talking about if she's black. I'm calling her she. Kamala's a woman. So now, LJ, I satisfied you. Now shut up. All right. Am I a Trump supporter? No. I'm a Dre Baldwin supporter. That's my name, by the way. My name is Dre Baldwin. I'm not a supporter of any political candidate. I have opinions, but I'm not a supporter of anybody. Someone said I have zero knowledgeable of immigration systems. Okay, if you say so. Do a live stream and tell me why I'm wrong. Mom and 3 babies told me what they get in food and cash. Oh, I believe you. Little Miss Pothead, I believe you. I know it's happening. I know that is not questionable. That's not even that's not hearsay. That's the truth. What you're saying is 100% true. So free food, housing, and cash. Yes, exactly. Everybody will sign up for that. Now, who would not sign up for that? Everybody would sign up for that. How are we defining black? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think it's flexible. Someone said, would I work in Trump's cabinet if you could? They would have to pay me a lot of money. They would have to make me a Godfather offer to work in any governmental role. I'm not built for working in the private sector. The public sector, excuse me. I'm not built for the public sector. I'm not good at taking instructions or directions from anybody, including Donald Trump. And that's why I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own business. I don't like answering to people. So the answer to your question, probably not. Now that I'm talking about it, probably not. But if they pay me enough money, I might take it. They had to give me a signing bonus up front, like a non-refundable signing bonus. So just in case I quit, I get to keep the money. So again, that's what we call a Godfather offer. Offer I can't turn down. So if I don't like the job after a week, I get to keep the money they gave me up front and not go back to running my business. Let's see. Anything else? It's much easier to get citizenship and legal status before ICE was created. Okay. Maybe you're right. Someone says she boomed that interview with Brett. When you say boomed, is that good or bad? I don't know what that means. Black Diamond 2G said, you're speaking facts, brother. Well, thank you. Shay said, your opinion doesn't matter if you're not voting. LOL. Well, the stats on this live say otherwise. Shay 2468. And who said I wasn't voting? I am voting. I just didn't tell you who I'm voting for. Hunter said businessman mentality. Yes, correct. I'm a businessman. I'm not made to be an employee. Someone said, if a brother wears a suit, black dudes get mad at us. LOL. George said, where are you getting that information? What information? Deanie said that means bad. Oh, boomed means bad. Yeah, she did do pretty bad in that interview. I agree with you. James said, I love how you stand on business. It's so refreshing. Thank you. Right now I'm sitting and I need to stand because I need to go to the bathroom because I've been doing this live for too long. So we're going to wrap this up in a minute. Shay said, I think you're voting for Trump, right? I have not said who I'm voting for, and I'm not going to tell anybody who I'm voting for. I'm voting for whoever I want to vote for, but I might just write myself in on the ballot. Nancy said, I like your honesty. Thank you. Deanie said, voted already, Trump baby. All right. Shout out to everybody who's voted already. Let's see. I'm going to take a couple more comments, then we got to go, folks. Someone please tell us who you're voting for. Is it a secret? Yeah, it's a secret. None of your business. That's what I'm voting for. Yes. And to satisfy, not satisfy, but what's the word I want to use here? To protect the integrity of me doing these lives. If I come out and say I'm voting for Kamala, then people who don't like Kamala are not really going to want to listen to what I say. And if I came out and said I'm voting for Trump, then people who don't like Trump are not going to listen to what I say. So if I stay neutral and say I'm not telling you who I'm voting for, then it's probably a better chance of people listening to what I have to say. So that's why I'm not telling you who I'm voting for. That's another reason why I'm not telling you. Someone said Georgia for Trump, America first. I've heard different, but we'll see. We'll see. That's the whole point. Someone said your live says Trump. Okay, well, you say whatever you want to say. I ain't telling nobody who I'm voting for. I just told you why I'm not telling you. I just gave you a very logical reason for why I'm not telling you who I'm voting for, because it helps me to get my message across to people on both sides of the aisle. Because if I say I'm voting for one or the other, then the people on the other side won't listen to anything I have to say. Someone said real men for Trump. He's the people of the country. Some say. Some say. Someone said people who say they're not telling you who they're voting for is most likely Trump. Okay. If you want to believe that, I don't know, Shay, do you think that's going to entice me to answer your question? It's not. Nice try, though. I see what you're trying to do. It's not going to work. Marshmallow said, do you think early voting is better? I liked when everybody had to vote on the same day and we got the answers that day. That's what I like. But I understand early voting as a thing because it allows people to not have to stand in long lines and all that stuff. And people got to go to their work and their jobs and all that. So I get it. I preferred back in the day, like before I was even old enough to vote, everybody had to vote on one day and we got the answer the same day. That's what I liked. But I get it that not everybody can do that. So I understand. Hunter said, I like same day voting. I think Trump has talked about same day voting. Oh, there it is. I must be voting for Trump. All right. So I like when everyone voted on one day and we got the answer that day and everything was by the machines and it was just clean. Now it's not clean anymore. So it puts everything into question. So I understand. Georgia said, thank you for the lives you do. Always great commentary, whether I agree with you or not. Critical thinking. Appreciate you, Georgia Jewel. Are you wrapping this up in less than 1 minute? Because I really have to go to the bathroom. I said that 10 minutes ago. I'm still sitting here. So where are you getting the information about immigrants getting free money? Oh, that's happening. Where am I getting that information? Well, look around. As I said this, George Jefferson, about 40 minutes ago, is that if you haven't seen something with your own eyes, you don't know. And everything else is based on what you choose to believe. So I've heard it from people who I believe to be reputable sources. One show that I heard talking about it not too long ago was Megyn Kelly's show. So that's what I'm telling you. So again, if you're asking me if I have no documented proof, or you're asking me if I believe it, I believe it. And most of what you believe, you believe. So we don't have to agree. And yes, it is on the news. Someone said, I'd rather hear you talk about business. Well, this is business. This is business too. This is part of my business is doing this live. So Marshmallow said, thank you for educating us. Big Stepper says, why does that matter? Why does what matter? Someone says, so you heard it from someone. Yes, I heard it from someone. Yes. And most of what you believe, you heard from someone. Think about it. What you learned in school, you heard from the teachers. What you learned at home, you heard from your parents. How do you know it's true? Again, there's belief and there's knowing. You only know something if you've seen it with your own eyes and you believe it. Everything else you have to believe. So if you really look through all the things you believe, most of them you heard. You didn't see it. You didn't experience it. You heard it. George said, education is not spreading what you heard. What is education, George? Education means to bring out from within. That's the etymology of the word education. It's not giving people information is not education. That's called indoctrination. And there's a big difference between the two. Do I believe Kamala is black? I believe that she's lying about something in her background that has to do with her heritage. Do I believe that she's black? If I had to answer that question, yes or no, I'm going to say no. I would say no, but the jury is out. If I just had to answer now, I would say no, but the jury is out. Right? The jury has not come to a conclusion. The jury has not reached a verdict. So to make sure I answer your question fully. What's a good way to start a business? Get a customer. Great question, Sarah. Best way to start a business is to get a customer. As soon as somebody gives you money, you're in business. Someone said your business is simping for white supremacy. Okay, so show me where the check I'm getting from white supremacy. White supremacy, a company? All right, where's the check? Where's my money? If I'm simping for white supremacy as my business, please send me my money. TikTok that said you're going live for 90 minutes. Don't forget to take a break. So that I'm going to take that as my cue to get off of here because I really got to go to the bathroom. All right, everybody. So I am going to do another live tomorrow. I'll do these lives every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern. It's not always about current events, but being that we got an election coming up in 2 weeks, a good amount of these, I'll probably be talking about current events between now and election day, and we'll see what happens on election day. And if this drags on like it did in the 2020 election, I usually talk business, personal development, professional development, and sometimes current events. Workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where I do all my coaching. If you want to work with me directly, go to the link in my bio. Those of you who like what I said, those of you who hated what I said, you're probably not going to go to that link anyway. But workonyourgameuniversity.com. You want to work with me directly. That's where I do all my coaching, all our courses, everything else. I got to go to the bathroom. We are out of here, folks. Send me a DM. You got a question. We gone.